Good morning and happy Sunday to you all. Glad to see you this morning. Special welcome any guests are with us. Always happy to see new faces around Holy Family Cathedral. As we celebrate now our second Sunday of Advent, we have now our second candle lit. I think most of us love to see these candles getting lit as it signifies to us just that much closer to Christmas, the great season of Christmas for us. Now, this second candle that we are lighting does symbolize to us a couple things. It does symbolize to us, first and foremost, peace. That reminder that when Christ came, he also came and ushered in for us the great kingdom of peace, reconciling us back to our Heavenly Father, to the heavenly kingdom, and how peaceful that kingdom is for us. But also, as tradition has had it, this candle has been named the Bethlehem candle, as it serves as a reminder to us of Joseph's and Mary's journey from Nazareth to Bethlehem. However many days it took from them to travel by foot to Nazareth to Bethlehem, there's probably times where it was a tough journey, times that it was easy, but then Mary also then carrying Jesus within her womb at this time. That physical journey, this candle reminds us of that journey. I find it interesting that as we are lighting this Bethlehem candle as a reminder of that journey, then that we get this gospel reading from Luke today. Hearing from John the Baptist crying out in the desert, "Prepare the way of the Lord, make straight his paths. The winding road shall be made straight, the rough ways made smooth." As we know, we hear that this is coming to us, these very words from the prophet Isaiah. More specifically, it's coming from Isaiah chapter 40, verses 3 through 5. If you go back to that section in Isaiah, these words that we hear John the Baptist crying out in the desert were actually instructions that were being given to road workers to prepare for a royal way, to be able to welcome in the king into the city. As such of these preparations would have been very common during the ancient world as a way in which visiting kings were made to feel welcomed into the place. They would go even as far as to make beautiful their homes and public buildings so that when the king comes to them, he may grant them his favor because he feels welcomed in such a place. Now we know that most of us winding roads are not the most fun roads to be on. I say that as the youngest kids, the youngest child syndrome, as getting forced to the back of the vehicle during the scenic routes. When motion sickness sets in, that winding road is not fun anymore. But also, that's why we want to make straight our paths. Make straight the path, an easy path for the king to come in. But also then, roads become a judging factor of a place for somebody who's visiting a place for the first time. So for example, people come to Tulsa, they will say, Tulsa, they have very poor roads, as the infrastructure becomes a judgment of the place. So that's why we hear this crying out in the desert to make winding roads straight, to make rough ways smooth. Brothers and sisters, as we hear these words from John the Baptist, use this as an analogy for our hearts, to make straight our heart, to be rid of the sickening, winding way of our own sinfulness, to be able to make beautiful the home of our hearts, so that Christ the King can feel welcomed upon his return. I give us two different recommendations for us to make beautiful our homes, to make our winding ways straight. My first recommendation for us is to seek after a grateful heart. To seek after a grateful heart. I look to St. Paul as somebody who really exemplifies this to us. Just even going to the second reading today from St. Paul to the Philippians. He says, I pray always with joy in my every prayer for all of you, because of your partnership for the gospel from the first day until now. If you think about the life of St. Paul, we know that he journeyed from place to place. All these books that we have from St. Paul, all these letters are written to people in different places. So he would have been traveling a bunch during his ministry. There would have been times, again, just like Joseph and Mary, from this candle we remember their journey, his journeys at times would have been troubling. At times, and also there's times he probably encountered people who were not accepting his words. There would have been a lot that St. Paul could have had to complain about. There could have been a lot that he could have been angry about. But he did not allow those sorts of feelings to overcome him. Rather, he chose to be joyful. He chose to be grateful. As we hear in these words, I pray always with joy. Now for us, as we sit here, we're waiting for Christ to come again in his glorious, triumphal return. Not necessarily just his birth we're celebrating at Christmas, but really more so his glorious return. Because we don't know the day nor the hour, this waiting for us can become long for us. And when it becomes long, we can become drowsy of hearts. As we heard last week, this aspect of a drowsy hearts, I preached about us can be spiritually tired human beings. As we don't know the day nor the hour, we can become drowsy in this. Brothers and sisters, it's hope and gratitude that really helps us to persevere in this journey of ours as we await for his return. I'd say to us, that we have too many ungrateful hearts about us. If we are experiencing ungratitude in our hearts, I say to us to spend time daily thinking of things that you are grateful for. It's amazing the sorts of thoughts that we have, how it impacts our demeanor. When we start to flood our thoughts with gratitude, how much that then changes our demeanor towards gratitude. But then also the opposite is true. When we are flooding our thoughts with anger, with resentment, then how much then our demeanor will turn to that as well. So seek after a grateful heart. But also my second recommendation for us is to seek after other good hearts. Just because we have ungrateful hearts ourselves does not mean that we don't have a sinful heart. Let me say that again. Just because we have grateful hearts does not mean that we don't have sinful hearts. We want to be able to surround ourselves with other good hearts because we imitate those that are around us. Certainly we want to imitate those good examples of others, but then also we do find ourselves imitating the bad examples of others. Therefore, we ought to be surrounding ourselves, brothers and sisters, with those people who truly love us, that love us enough to help us become the best person who we can be, the best person that we can be. And that's a person without sin. Certainly, if you think of these two aspects of a grateful heart and surrounding ourselves with other good hearts, they play into each other. They contribute to each other. As nobody wants to be around a sourpuss. If we find ourselves being a sourpuss, then other good hearts are not necessarily going to be coming to us so easily. But then also on the other end, when we're surrounding ourselves with good and holy people, then how much we are much more inclined to be good and holy ourselves. Then how much then that contributes to being grateful in our life. So it's not necessarily that one of these contributes to the other, but rather they do feed into each other, they contribute to each other. So let's strive after grateful hearts. Let's seek after other good people, other good hearts to surround ourselves. Because as John the Baptist is crying out to us in the wilderness to prepare a way for the Lord, make straight his paths. The winding road shall be made straight, the rough ways made smooth. Brothers and sisters, do the work. Do the work to make beautiful the home of your heart, to make a fitting place for Christ the King, so that he can feel welcomed upon his glorious return.